Hello. This is my first YouTube video for now, and I really just wanted to get something done for the New Year's, right? And I think when it comes to planning and stuff like that, I have it's fun to do something. So I wanted to set myself a goal of maybe making, at least one YouTube video, start it off and see where it goes there. Obviously, when you have New Year's resolutions, there is that stereotype of people, being like, I'm gonna go to the gym every day and I'm gonna work out for every day for the rest of the year and forever. And, it typically it works out for a lot of people, but for me, I think it's good to start with a small goal and then let the when you actually do it, you get that you get so proud of yourself, so then you want to do it more. So that's what I want to do with this right now. So let's see where this goes. I am drawing something right now. It's actually a reference from Pretty Little Liars, which is extremely random. I was watching Pretty Little Liars with my friends, and I was there and I was like, you know what, this scene right now is kind of visually interesting, and it seems like something I would want to draw, or I would want to make up, you know what I mean? So, but I mean, all the positions and stuff, I try to I copied from there. And then of course I did my own faces, my own hair, and my own kind of clothes. It's a bit hard sometimes with doing your own clothes, especially if the clothes that's on the reference are baggy and stuff, but I think it was pretty good. I'll see. So I'm not drawing right now, I'm just speaking, but I'm watching the video right now as it's recording, so I can kind of know what I'm talking about, but so yeah. And then so I have some 2023 art goals, which is which I guess talking about the New Year's resolutions and stuff like that. There are definitely things that I can improve on. They're not set goals. They're not I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna make 55 paintings. I'm not really a painter. I do want to get into that, but that's a whole nother discussion. But the main thing is that I pinned down things I have a hard time with, and then I was like, okay, where can I how can I improve? So the first thing that I think I have difficulty with is this difficulty with creativity. And I have a lot of ideas, especially theoretical ideas, but I have a bit of a hard time seeing things in my head as images. There are some people who have the ability to do that. I don't have the ability to do that, fortunately. I definitely have the ability to make up concepts and stories and stuff like that, but with making up a scene, that's much more difficult, and it actually helps me a lot of times to make that story. So I wanted to kind of focus on making a story behind what I'm doing. What is the purpose of this? Not just I want to draw something that looks cool, or what is not necessarily purpose, in a museum, how you have the description and it's this painting is to do this. No, not that, but more what do I want to say, what do I want to tell, do I just a little more than just I want to draw a girl with an outfit on, which is I think a lot of times what I do want to draw, but I can expand on that. Maybe this girl with this outfit is I don't know, hunting. No, I don't think so. You know what I mean? It's something that I need to improve on, add something, but I do want to like make stories and, you know, think about what I'm actually drawing more. But of course, I need to improve on that, as you just saw. I mean, it's not a terrible idea, but like she's like this like, oh my god, like a girl with like this, not to make like a Hunger Games reference right now, but like a girl in like a capital outfit, like hunting like Katniss Everdeen. Oh my, I don't know why I made this reference. And then another thing is, of course, like trying different mediums and exploring more of what I want to do. Or like, I don't know, is it better to speak of what I want to do, or like, no, yes it is, I feel like at this point in this channel, you know, I might give advice later on, but right now I don't have any advice. Maybe later on in this video, honestly. Like, this is a decently long recording I have just made. I don't know if I'm gonna speed it up or not. I might do that, I might not. So maybe there will be a potential that this voice recording doesn't match with what I'm doing, you know, depending on how long I can talk for. I have no idea. I think I could talk forever, maybe, but I don't know if, you know, if I was talking forever, if that would actually have any substance. So yeah, but this with trying different mediums and exploring more of what I wanted to do, I do try to, like, right now my main thing that I use is ink a lot, and I'll talk about that a little more later on. I'll remind myself actually of that. So that's currently what I'm using, and I'm starting to use a lot of color pencils, which I got some for a really good price from like because they were like smashed in a truck or something, so the container was absolutely horrible, and some of the pens actually like were a bit squashed, but not too bad. It was like more than 50% off, so, and it wasn't like Prismacolor pens. I don't have the brand on me right now, but if they were good ones. I don't think they're oil based. I think they are, like, yeah, I'm not exactly sure. They're not oil based. Like, I think Prismacolor ones are oil based. These maybe are like a mixture. I'm not sure, because I don't feel like they're definitely not watercolor based. And the usual ones are like crayon based. Is that like, I think that's wrong, because crayon is like its own thing. Like, crayon is something, has a base. It's not like crayon base. Graphite? I don't think so. Yeah. So with this, I don't really want it to be like a podcast. I want it to more... It is a podcast, but I don't want it to be like a podcast. I want it to be like a talk with me, which is legit a podcast. But there's these, often, you know, in like YouTube, you know when like a lot of drawing videos were pretty big, especially like the ones which were like on Procreate or like Photoshop and stuff, where people would like talk about stuff, but I feel like typically they have a subject they want to talk about, which I think makes it a little less podcasty if you're talking about one thing. And if you're like, it's like casual video essay type of ones, or like how to draw this specific thing, but not in like a you know, how to draw anime girl face, you know, not in that way, more in like just general tips and tricks, not in these specific how to draw this, how to draw, you know, which I love. I quite like those videos, like what's the best way to draw skin, yeah, or like reflections and stuff like that. And yeah, I think another thing with my 2023 art goals was stuff with references. like, when it comes to drawing, I think I generally try to, like, I usually use a reference from Pinterest. Like, there isn't much more that I do to get references. Obviously, in this drawing, I was like, I was watching a TV show, and I took a photo of it. I had to take a photo of it because sometimes the streaming platforms do not let you take screenshots anymore. Plus, it was on the TV. So, but that was a change that really kind of, at least for me, was a bit upsetting. I don't know if using it as a reference is, like, bad. I don't think it is. Especially if you're changing stuff. I mean, like, do they think that, like, people are gonna, like, individually take a picture of every single frame and then, like, put the audio over it or something? I don't think so. I think that would be very time consuming, but it seems silly. I mean, because people taking screenshots and using them is a very big part of marketing. Anyway, I got totally sidetracked there, which is kind of what this is. This is a big thing of me just being absolutely sidetracked. Anyway, so I do want to get references from other sources, other Pinterest sources, other sources than Pinterest. Because I think that Pinterest is good, like, if you have specific ideas, but because Pinterest is definitely algorithmic, it sort of leans to you what you know, and you kind of put stuff in little boxes where you kind of forget about them. At least it's a problem with me, is that, like, the only way I'll use Pinterest is that I will scroll until I find a picture, and then sometimes I'm scrolling and then I'll put stuff in my little in my little boxes, in my folders, that's what it is. And I'll forget about them. It's not very often that I remember it. And I think that with that, I sort of become very dependent on it. Plus, it makes me, it's not fun, really. Like, sometimes, like, if you want to practice, I think Pinterest is great. I used Pinterest for a long time to find, like, references for, like, anatomy and figure drawing and stuff like that. And it was very useful for that. But when you are, like, searching for an inspiration or pose or something like that, it can, at least for me, it's made, like, my art a little drier. It's taken kind of this creativity out of it, It makes it almost someone else's. Like, if I'm using a lot of a reference, at least for me, it sometimes feels like I'm not even doing it. Like, I don't have to put any effort. I'm still obviously putting in a lot of effort, and I'm still changing so much about this picture. I would not let that slide. Like, for me, I would feel extremely guilty. With this picture, I will say that I did not change anything, I think, with the poses and stuff. Usually I do, but I also think that's because I didn't feel guilty stealing from, like, a 10-year-old show. You know what I mean? I was like, okay. But maybe if it was, like, I don't know, a photo shoot or something like that. But this is from Pretty Little Liars. I don't want to, like, steal it straight up like that. Yeah, I think that I want to find, but I still need references. So, and one thing that I found fun is to get references from real life. To, take my phone and take photos. I love taking photos, like, just of random stuff. Not really of myself. Sometimes I do. But I feel, sometimes I use myself as a reference, but that's usually when I'm, like, really desperate for, like, a reference and I can't find one, and I'm like, ugh. But, yeah. I mean, that's good, I guess. It's kind of fun. But like taking inspiration from your life. I mean, that's kind of, I think that's, that's what people used to do. And I think it's good for you. Obviously, I'm not saying to like delete Pinterest. I would never ever do that in my life. Maybe I would, but not at the moment. I still really like Pinterest. I think it's probably one of the nicer social medias, at least for me at the moment, because like it's not that addictive and it doesn't shove, even though it literally has that like reels, TikTok, or like shorts kind of content in there. At least for me, it doesn't seem like it shoves down my throat. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, of course, they all do that, but Pinterest doesn't. So Pinterest still is very much like just creativity, just that. Well, Instagram, even though I want to use it just to see like artists do their things, even like I don't mind seeing like artist reels, right? But like that will eventually disintegrate with reels, I think, if you're on Instagram. I'm not on TikTok at the moment because it was just I have no self-control when it comes to like doom scrolling, so I had to delete it. Still, Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts have become a problem. YouTube Shorts now more because I've actually put like a time restraint on my Instagram, and it's actually working pretty well. It's called like send time, I don't know. I need to stop talking about things that like I have no idea what I'm like I have, because yes, so taking pictures, and I'm not like saying only of like mundane things. Like you could literally like ask your friends like, hey, like please can you pose for me? I've done that a lot. I did that a lot for my school assignments. I did IB, and actually, so when I did that, I was deadly afraid of using any references at all. Like I was like, no way. So I either asked my friends to take a picture of me, not me, but take a picture for me, or like took a picture, like, my friends posing, or like my door, or like a house nearby, because I was deadly afraid that like if even I used like, a little pattern as a reference, I would get like, I don't know, killed by the IB. So I was a bit afraid of that, but but that was pretty good. That was good practice, I think, especially if you want to get your art to be more serious. I don't know, I think a lot of people don't want that. A lot of people are just having fun with it. Then I think just kind of do whatever you want. Be ethical still. Like there are still ways to be ethical. I don't know if my Pretty Little Liars stuff is unethical. I don't think it is, but it's always good to be on the safe side. So take pictures of your surroundings, of interiors, of natures, of birds, of people, obviously with their consent, or like to a degree where you can't really see them. I mean, don't be a weirdo, I don't like saying but I say it a lot, so bear with me. And oh, here it is. Okay, so I actually put myself a reminder about this, so I would have otherwise forgotten. But one thing that I have here is about drawing with pen. So I draw with pen, as I said before, and I don't know where I got this, but I remember there was a few YouTubers that I watched, and they were all drawing with pen. It was like a nicer one. Well, not a nicer one, a different one. It was like, it's just one that like a lot of designers use. It's off the top of my tongue. It's like kind of a fine liner. It's basically a fine liner, like not the like brand fine liner or like the ones that are called fine liners, but like pretty much the same thing, right? And a lot of them would say like stuff like, it will improve your confidence. with lines. And I do not know if I agree with that. And I still draw with pen, right? So there is that there. The reason I draw with pen is that I don't really like the way that pencil looks. And that's probably something I'll touch on when I do my sketchbook tour, which is something that I've been wanting to do for so long. But I'll talk about that a little later, because otherwise I'm gonna get totally off track and forget exactly what I was talking about. But I draw with pen because I think it looks super clean. I like drawing with pencil, super unclean. I very much prefer cross-hatching instead of like blending. You know those little tools, like the little paper things that you sharpen and that you use to blend stuff? Or you can use, like your finger as well. I don't hate it, but I don't think I could have ever been able to do it myself with a degree of satisfaction. I have always felt like it's, for me, every time I've done it, it looks muddy. I've seen people do it and it looks incredible, but like there is this degree of like anger that I have towards it every time I do it. And that's probably like, I remember doing it in class and I was like, ugh. I like got like almost visually upset, and like one of my friends was like, what? And I was just like, I prefer cross-hatching so much more. And cross-hatching, if you don't know what it is, it's basically like making lines like to show depth and shadow, similar to the way that you would make shadow with blending, but instead you basically, the closer the lines they are, the darker they are. So instead of the actual darkness of the pencil you're using, you can still do amazing cross-hatching with pencil. By the way, I've seen a lot of get good, but I think that pencil just blends. But I've also seen a lot of these beautiful like pencil drawings recently. And like they've been making me change my mind about pencil. But like I have tried to like replicate them, and I think the reason why I don't have that similarity is that I'm using a 2B pencil, or HB, which is like, the pencil that you write with when you're like writing with at school. So I might invest in a 6B or maybe a 4B, or a packet of different pencils. I'm not sure if I'm ready for that. It's probably not that expensive, but I just don't like to have art equipment. I like to be very kind of minimalistic with my art equipment. I don't know if that's true. I think that's pretty good. I have stuff I used to have stuff in my garage and stuff, but I would never touch it. So it's like, I just kind of like to have what I need because I don't really use much more. But I do want to explore different mediums for 2020. I have said 2023 New Year's resolutions this whole time, I think, because that's what it's on my notes. I mean 2024, of course. But yeah. So this smudging, but I'm gonna try to use a 6B. That's, I'll actually go to the art store and maybe get one. Maybe I'll make a video with that. Maybe I won't. But that would actually be kind of interesting. So this, people say, I was going to talk about the line confidence. So line confidence, it's been actually a really big discussion recently. Maybe it's just my side of the internet, but line stability, there's been a lot of people being if you draw chicken scratch lines, I think that's what I call it, scratchy sort of lines, there's no line confidence, and it shows people that it kind of puts people off your work unless it's done in a very, very stylistic manner. And I think that there's been times where I've done it and people have been like, whoa, that's pretty cool. And then I think, but most of the time it's kind of, not great. But I think people would say that changing from pencil to pen changes that, because obviously if you're working with pen, you cannot like erase it. But I was never erasing anything with pencil, and that is, I think that's part of the cleanliness thing, is I don't like having my pages dirty, and when you erase, like, it sort of smudges it, unless you have like the best rubber ever, but even so, like, you can still kind of see a little bit. So I would just never erase unless it was like a really big mistake, which I don't know, I kind of like, maybe I did do that. I haven't like drawn with pencil in such a long time, but so yeah. But anyway, I still find myself like, when I'm drawing pen, going over lines a lot, especially when it comes to stuff like hands. Well, not hands, but like arms and mainly the body. I think I'm very confident when it comes to drawing faces, which is a bit ironic because I did mess up, I think, quite a bit on the faces in this drawing. But honestly, that was just probably because, I don't know, whatever. It's like, drawing is very, you know, you do stuff differently every time. Sometimes you don't have the best drawing day. I think this time it was okay. It wasn't great, but it wasn't like the best. Especially I think because it was kind of small and I got kind of irritated. The size of the face was too big. And actually, you see me right now, coincidentally, cutting up a piece of paper to cover this face up because I was so upset about it. And I'm like, I have to change this face. So that was just a little jump. I did make jumps in this video because it was like over an hour, and I was like, I am not talking for an hour. So basically what I did is I edited out most of the times where I'm just like sitting or doing nothing or doing something off screen. I mean, I get up and walk around when I'm drawing. I'm not always drawing. And sometimes I'm like, I have my pen down, but I'm not like doing anything. I'm just kind of looking at the reference, being like, whoa, and then spacing out. So yes, so drawing with pen, definitely, I think the more confident I am, the less I will do that chicken scratch. But there has been, recently, I have been making a conscious effort to not do that. To be like, I am only gonna do, one line for this arm. And I honestly really recommend that. I think that is, like, to make that conscious decision to do that is I think it's pretty important. Obviously, if you're having fun, it can be kind of stressful and kind of annoying. But I think it's good for you if you, like, depending on, everyone has different goals. If you want to, like, improve your line stability and your anatomy or whatever you're working on, not everyone is working on anatomy at all times, of course, it helps with that. I found that, like, when I'm drawing arms, like, in one line, I can, I make a point of where, the little bumps and stuff are in the arm, like the elbow, and where it sort of curves and when that stops, and, like, sort of volume of that. So, yeah, I think that's it. I will talk about, like, covering up the sort of faces. That is and like details that I like. That is a drawback of pen, is that when you mess up, you can't do anything, really. Or you can do what most people do, I think a lot of people do, is cover it up with another piece of pencil or blue tack or whatever. Not blue tack, whiteout. And that, helps it out. It does make it much more obvious, and, like, that the mistakes there. Another thing, I often will use color pieces of pencil because I think that they sorry, got interrupted because some people came over, but I was gonna say not color pieces of pencil, but color pieces of paper, because they are much more representative of what you actually are doing. You're not like hiding that you have a mistake necessarily that you've done. And I think that's important, especially with pen and like sketchbooks and stuff. If you like watch pretty much a lot of people's like sketchbook tours, you'll see that they have like, instead of, completely rubbing out a page, even when they have pencil used, or using whiteout or stuff that makes it less obvious that you made a mistake, people use typically sticky notes or whatever, and I'm not sure what the people call them. I think that might be the usual name, but like colorful sticky notes. And I think that's good, like a good mentality. I think it's good that there is that availability to fix a mistake, but it's still obvious that it used to be a mistake. And for sketchbooks and stuff like that, I think being able to really acknowledge that it's like you screw up a lot of times is incredibly important in when you're doing that. So yeah, I like right now I'm running out of ideas because I just came back like from a dinner and I was like talking so much about anything. I was rambling, forgetting what I talked about, getting sidetracked, but like it was very easy. There's my cat. She always just sort of interrupts me, which is really cute. But yeah, I like it's very hard to get. I think I completely forgot what I was gonna say then, but I will say this, that the last point I did want to make, which I might have to maybe continue on another day, was a bit about like stamina. That's like a weird word when you're talking about drawing and stuff, but I think throughout this drawing that you can see that I've done, you can see that I do get kind of tired. And this will be like a thing that you see many people, especially me. I mean, I can't talk for everyone, but for my drawings, when I'm doing like, especially with pencil drawing, pen, or honestly any medium, I will get tired, especially if it's like a bigger project. But you can even see that like if I'm drawing a whole body, I usually start with the head, which I have seen people say that you should start with the feet, which is good, I think, for fitting it in a page, but usually I am not really there at the moment. Like, it's like I just kind of draw and then see what happens, but I do get that starting with the feet is good if you're kind of focusing on doing, one body sketch, so you fit that into the page, because otherwise, if you start with the head, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna only get like 3/4 of the body in. But like with when I'm drawing a body, when I'm drawing like a person, my lines will get worse, my anatomy will get worse the more I've worked on that. And I think it's because I, like a lot of people, get kind of a bit tired. And I don't know if this is a problem with bigger projects. For me personally, I don't think so, but I think usually the bigger projects I've worked in aren't extremely repetitive. I do stuff that isn't repetitive, like I'll do different tasks in bigger projects, like bigger art things, and you also like take a break. And when you don't, you're like fully like invested in it. So there is that sort of part of it with bigger projects that you do take breaks, or you're very invested much more than simple drawings. But I think if you were to spend more time than you wanted on a bigger project, you might see that sort of the losing of like this mental ability to fully grasp what you're doing, and you just kind of get tired. And I think it's important to be at least aware of it. so you can like be conscious. You know, I feel like I've said something like that for everything, but be aware that you're doing that. And then I think that's like the first step, and then you're like, okay, I'm not gonna get tired, or I'm gonna start with the feet, you know. So this time I get to work, you know, detailed on the legs, or I'm just gonna work on the legs, because usually I never get the opportunity to do that, because, you know, I get tired, or like, and they become crappy, or I just kind of don't do them. Similar thing with hands, you know, like how people do hand studies all the time. So yeah, I think that's it for me for today. Thank you. Bye. If you liked what I made, please, you know, like, comment, and subscribe. I'm gonna try to make more of these videos. I actually really enjoyed it. I love talking. It might not be much like info, you know, but you might just want to like hear someone talk, or, you know, you might actually think what I'm saying is anything of substance, which I'll be honored. But, you know, thank you for listening.